All right, we are live. We're finally live. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome from wherever you're coming from.
Welcome everyone.
This is Oluwaseyi from YSIMS. I'm with Doctor. Oh, sorry. I'm with Fauzi Jahari, all the way from Singapore. Okay, he's here with us to throw more light on Aspen tools and career growth. All right. Basically, let me introduce our guest here. I need to introduce our guest. It's very important I do that. All right. So he's known as a curious engineer. He's a curious engineer. Um, he's also known as a process simulation evangelist. Okay. He hosts a webinar every Thursday by 8:30 p.m. That's Singapore time. All right. He's a solution consultant manager at Southeast Asia under Aspen Technology. All right. He was once the senior business consultant of Aspen Technology. He has an MBA. All right. He has an MBA in strategy and organization from National University of Singapore. He has a BNG in chemical engineering from Institute Technology Bandung. I hope I got that right, sir. So
Yeah,
I have to introduce to you Dr. Mr. Fauzi
yeah. Thank you for the
Jahari.
wonderful introduction, always.
Yes, thank you very much,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you for the wonderful introduction.
It's beautiful to have you here. It's beautiful to have you here. We really appreciate this. It's beautiful. Um, so today, first of all, I have a question to ask before we go into the topic for today. What brought about the curious engineer? Where did that name come from, sir?
Ah, what about the curious engineers? So I think it's
Yeah.
I like, I guess, let me put it this way. I like sharing. I like teaching, but I also like learning, right? So I when I started this, basically I want to share about uh, uh, what I know about Aspen tools, right? So I started based on that. Uh, then I realized it's actually what I know is also limited, right? So I start actually talking to people and inviting people to share what they know, so to expand uh, the kind of the knowledge base, right? So I learn from the person as well as other people can also learn from that person through the event or the webinar I host. I think that's mainly the background of the curious engineer. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. It's an
Yep.
interesting one, sir. Yeah, so thank you very much. All right, let's go. Let's go. I think as we keep talking, we'll get more questions to ask and then we'll know more about the Aspen technology. So today we are dealing
Yep.
with the industrial relevance of Aspen tools. Like you said, you wanted to share the knowledge with everyone. The industrial relevance of Aspen tools and career growth. All right. We have some of our students joining us here right now, and then they are going to be learning from this because we host a class. All right, teaching Aspen Tech here in Nigeria. All right, I must say that Mr. Fauzi is from Singapore. It's very important we note that. All right, so we are hosting that in Nigeria, trying to see how we can make people better, get people to understand the Aspen tools better. Currently, we are dealing with Aspen HiSys and Aspen
Mhm.
Plus, right? So we just need people to understand what this Aspen tool is for them. Let them get to understand the whole essence of Aspen tools and their the relevance in career growth because we still have some undergraduates with us, understand, trying to learn how to pattern their life after the university. So we want you to throw more light on that for us. So I think I can give you the stage to do your thing, sir.
Yeah, I think. Well, thank you very much, Ulua Isi, for inviting me to this conversations, and also thank you for actually being the evangelist also for the process simulation, especially Aspen process simulation, Aspen Plus, and Aspen HYSYS to the fellow chemical engineers in Nigeria. I think that's a wonderful things you're doing, right?
Thank you.
Uh, I think for me when I start my career, this is maybe 20 years ago. So
Wow.
I guess maybe look, I would put it this way, right? So as a chemical engineer, you might work in two major area, I would say, right? You might work in engineering company. You might work in owner operators, means you work in plan to support the operations, right? I think this is the main two, but I guess there's probably R&D developments, etc. Right? I think both you will use. For me, I take it as Aspen or process simulations is tool, right? Is one of the calculation tools, right? It helps speed up your uh, process calculations, right? Your material balance, sizing, etc. So, which very important in terms of designing a plan, right? You need to have the right material balance across different unit operations in the plant to design, right? To know the requirements of each element to size, right? As well as in operations, if you work in operations, you will actually you might see changes, you might see different conditions which you need to understand, and process simulation help you understand the behavior of the plant. Thus, you can actually either troubleshoot or optimize your plant operations, right? So I think to me is I think chemical engineering is wide, and in terms of the work of chemical engineering, uh, process simulations or use of process simulation is one element, right? Depending on the work, it could be 10% of your time, it could be 30% of your time, right? But there are other elements of process engineering, right? So, yeah, that's my maybe short answer. Yep, I guess there's some delay. Yeah,
All right, sir. Okay, that's actually very interesting.
yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. I believe everyone can hear me now. All right. So, concerning what you
Yep.
said, it's very, very interesting actually. I've been doing this for a while now, trying to learn this. I feel something about Aspen technology, something you learn every day. It's not something you just get once. Constant practice helps you to get familiar with the software better, especially when it comes to dealing with different plants and then trying to optimize different plant designs. Like you said, you have to be dealing with different productions as well and different processes. All right. But I must say, you've been doing this for over 20 years now. Over 20 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I really want to know what's really inspired you towards learning this process simulation software itself. Yeah, you've said that, okay, it's and chemical engineering is very interesting. Chemical engineering is very interesting. I tell people that you don't chemical engineering is broad because a lot of people here they just feel it's basically in the oil and gas industry. That's where you tend to use your chemical engineering idea, and then some people environmental. But I let people understand that chemical engineering is very broad. You can actually work anywhere. It has to do with a lot of processes, not just the oil and gas. Because people here tend to have this feeling that it's just basically oil and gas. If I don't do oil and gas, I can't further, I can't expand. All right. So, can you throw more light into that? Because if people don't get to understand what chemical engineering is all about, they tend to lose it along the way, especially when they don't get exactly what they're looking for in, like I said, the oil and gas industry. So, can you just throw more light into it and then let people understand that better?
Mm. Okay, I mean, yeah, I think I agree with you in terms of chemical engineering is yeah, oil and gas. I guess oil and gas is what I would say. So even oil and gas is quite wide, right? So you can work in upstream production, you can work in midstream, you can work in refining, you can work in petrochemicals, chemicals, specialty chemicals. I think that itself is this the traditional uh, I think the traditional industry of chemical engineering. But now also, I guess I'm sure chemical engineering goes into water, goes into mining, goes into pharmaceutical. Yeah, so I think and and I believe even the if you see the trend, although I think there is a big push of sustainability, right?
Mm,
So a lot of companies, right, is also trying to see how can uh, they can decarbonize, they can reduce their emissions, right? And this actually push uh, many companies to invest into development of new processes, right? Processes which help in terms of capturing carbon, or processes which is more uh, energy efficient, right? So there's a lot of development in that space, right? Yeah, so that's another thing. Like for example, now we are talking about electrolyzers for green hydrogens. There are many things, right? So now we probably, because we are producing, let's say, green hydrogen, green ammonia, we will also be dealing with a little bit of electricity, the the uncertainty productions of electricity from the renewable source, right? So this also will have impact to the design of the plant. So I think I would say the industry of the traditional industry of chemical engineering is still big, but I think we also need to be aware about the new skill needs required from the chemical engineers, right? Either could be uh, sustainability related skill, understanding the new technology for decarbonizing, energy efficiency, uh, or even how we as chemical engineering, which is the domain knowledge, can use other technology to make our job easier. For example, the different technology in AI, right? That's also something I think we cannot shy away from that. I think we need to learn uh, that to help our core domain knowledge.
mm. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much for that. Um, okay, so I have a few questions to ask concerning the Aspen tool in industry. So, in your experience so far, how has the Aspen tools been used in real world industry settings? How can we implement that today in real world industry settings? I'm sure you're handling some projects at the moment concerning that. So, how can people do this? Like, because people tend to see it as an abstract thing, they don't really see how they can really apply it in the industry itself, because most of the learning we tend to do, you just get modules, you trying to most people get the module, they try to practice what is in the module for themselves. But in real life situations, how does this help the industry? Let's get more light on that.
Yeah, I think to me is again two things, right? One is definitely you will need that tools to design a plan. Means that you want to design, let's say I come from upstream. I spent a lot of my career in upstream. So the you want to develop a field. The production engineer will actually estimate, okay, this field will actually produce uh, X amount of gas, X amount of oil, X amount of water with that conditions. Now, how do I actually process this, right? The well fluid, different thing, right? So it's typically that requires separations. There might be some treatment required. Then you need to send the product, which is the gas, the oil, and maybe inject the water back, right? So this then uh, you need to come up with a scheme of what all the unit operations required to achieve the product, right? Then based on that, you need to design. You need to calculate how much is the material balance, right? How much is the gas compressions, etc. So you use process simulations to do that, right? To know the capacity of the plant, to know the flow rate, the properties, so that you can size the pipe, the pump, the control valve. That's basically to design a plant, right? I think that's the one major use. The second thing is basically you might operate a plant or distillation column. You might in the refinery you have changes of crude. Refinery will look into based on the design of the plant, they will look into what is the most profitable crude they can process, right, to increase the margin, to increase the profitability. So they might change their crude, right, based on availability, based on the target product they want to achieve, and this actually will change the operating conditions of their units, the distillation column, the reactors, right? So the chemical engineers needs to know what is the new operating conditions, what is the best operating conditions. So you need to use process simulation. How, like for example, how much is the reflux ratio? How much is I need to put the duty to the reboilers, etc. Right. So that's you use process simulations to find what is the the optimum operating conditions or the best operating conditions you want to achieve based on your uh, requirements. For example, your product requirements, right?
Okay. All right, sir. All right. Thank you very much for that. This has really shed more light, because most times when you teach and then you tell people that okay, these are actually real life situations, it can be used in real life situation, they feel like no, it's just for practice sake. It's not really something that can be simulated real life. But you expanding on this now, because you have more knowledge, you've been doing this for over 20 years right now, and then you telling us that what we are actually doing in class is the same thing what is happening in real life now. I feel more people are open to it, that okay, yes, this is something real that is really applicable real life, you understand? So it's actually interesting that whatever we're doing in class, people can actually do this in real life. All right. So just by the side, I just want to ask one question by the side. Between Aspen Hysis and Aspen Plus, when you were learning, which of them took you longer to learn? Let me ask that. Let's just a little bit of digression.
I think I think that's maybe I would say it's really relative. I think tools, Aspen Hysys, Aspen Plus, is both process simulations. It both
Yeah.
has its own strength, right? So Aspen Hysys is mainly used in oil and gas type processes, upstream, midstream, refining, while Aspen Plus in petrochemicals, chemicals, specialty chemicals, polymers, right? I think, and then I mean, from my perspective, because my exposure first is using uh, Aspen Hysys, so I'm much more convenient or comfortable with Aspen Hysys. But even Aspen Hysys, there's a lot of elements of Aspen Hysys depending on whether you are which industry you get into, right? For me, it's because I work for Aspen, I get exposed to different industry and how they use the solution. Even for HISIS, I get exposed to upstream, I get exposed to LNG industry, I get exposed to refining. But depending on your career choice, right? Especially if your career choice is operations, you might get exposed to one specific industry. So then I think to me is which one is easier to take or take shorter to learn. It really depends. I think depends on what is your first exposure. And I also believe that there's a lot of things you can learn in both software, which you may not cover everything just because of the nature of your work, right? So like for example in Aspen Plus there is Aspen polymers specific for
Mhm.
polymers. Even the
Yeah.
polymers, it could be polyethylene, propylene, uh, depending, right? So if you are not in that industry, you might not use that module, right? So I would say, uh, yeah, it really is relative, right? So depending on what is your scope, on how wide is your coverage, right, and what is your first exposure, right?
Mm. Okay.
I
Okay.
think the important question is you need to know which tools you actually should use in your modeling.
Field. All right.
Which one is the right tool? Is it HYSIS is the more better tool, or is Aspen Plus the more better tool? I think that's the maybe the right question.
Okay. Okay. So, based on the question you asked, I feel it's more like, like you said, it's relative based on the industry you're going to be working with. And then, from what we know very well that Aspen Hysis is basically for the oil and gas industry, while um, the Aspen Plus it covers a lot of other industries, the petrochemical, pharmaceutical, the polymer industry, just like you said. All right. So that should be relative, like you said, it's relative on based on the industry you're working with. I think I think you've actually answered that in your conversation right now. All right. So um I will soon be taking questions from our students. Some of them have started dropping in their questions already. But before we get there, I have a question to ask. Now, based on the Aspen modules we have, which of them do you think is the most crucial for new engineers to learn first? All right. So which module do you think is the most crucial and why? I feel currently we are going into the carbon capture process, but at the same time, there's also the hydrogen production as well. So, which module do you think is most crucial at the moment for people to learn right now?
Hmm. Yeah, I think I guess modules. So to me is one, of course, you need to learn. Most of the time we learn first is the process simulation, and process simulations either HYSYS or Aspen Plus, right? So and then again, it really depends on the industry. In process simulations, in if you are in engineering or design, you might not go into details like, for example, kinetics, how we model chemical reactors is for design is different than how we model chemical reactors for operations, right? So I think uh, the your I will say the first thing, of course, the process simulation, and then again, the process simulation will be really depends on your uh, job requirements, which is depends on your industry, right? So in engineering, you might not get you have a different you get exposed to a different for example, process simulation mainly in engineering is material balance, but probably you get exposed to designing PSV, you got exposed to designing vessels, you got exposed to designing blowdown systems. For operations, is more of uh, you need to model the system in more details. For example, in chemical reactors, you will need to put the kinetics of the chemical reactors because you want to see the changes of operating conditions to the impact of the conversions, right? So you cannot put a fixed conversion. So I think that's to me is it start with process simulation, but again the skill set of the process simulations really depends on the job requirements and the industry you are exposed to.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for that. Depending on the industry you're working with. That's a very good one. So one of our students asked a question here. She said, where can one start or continue the learning process after school? Currently, she's an undergraduate, and then she wants to know where can you start and continue learning after school? What's the process?
Okay, I think the learning. I think to me is the learning is never ends. To be yes, I think that's a good question. The learning is never ends, right? So uh, for me is you need to see two things, right? For me is two things. You need to know what is your job, your current job. What is your current the skill required for your current job. In addition to that, you also need to think ahead. Means what is the skill set required for my dream job, my future job. So you have to balance the skill development. You need to be good at your current job, but you also need to prepare yourself, develop your skill for the future job. So, for example, if you are an engineer, you're starting, you need to be good with the different types of calculation. Again, to me, it really depends. You know what is your job. You know the skill what's required. It could be line sizing, it could be pump sizing, it could be vessel sizing. So you need to one by one master that requirement for your current job. In addition to that, you have to think, okay, what else I need to prepare myself to to be uh, to be prepared for my next job, my future career, my dream job, right? So it could be, do I want to shift my focus to uh, more towards sustainability? Do I want to focus on AI to combine with my uh, chemical engineering? Then you have to plan and you have to allocate your time also, right? But I don't think there is. I think currently we are blessed with a lot of access of information. but the key is to actually understand what you want to learn, how you want to prioritize your things. I think there's a lot of things to learn. It's just now we need to make decisions and prioritize depending
Hmm.
on your needs.
Okay. Okay. That's a lovely one. I believe she has gotten that answer already. I believe this has clarified what she's talking about, what she's trying to get. Like you said, it's based on the industry. It's very important. It's based on the industry that you see yourself working in, and then you keep learning to
Yeah,
position yourself better for that industry. All right. Um,
yeah.
I think
I
that's a
mean,
good one.
if you ask
Yeah.
me what is my source of learning, if you ask me my source of learning, I learn from, I will look for books, I will look for articles, books. I think there's a lot of books you can read from technical as well as non-technical. Again, really depends on what you want to develop, right? So a lot of books, a lot of journals. We read journals, chemical engineering journals. Uh, there's a lot of learning from online platform, right? YouTube. I think, yeah, articles, internet. So I think in terms of sources, I guess nowadays there's abundance of informations. There's abundance of source of knowledge, right? Which I
Mm,
think is not, that's a secondary. Is the one, the most important one is to make decisions which skill you want to go after.
okay. All right. Okay. 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 That's a good one. I have another question here. Um, for someone with Aspen skills, what are the rules? What rules or what rules or industries offer the most opportunities? Now, based on the fact that you want to streamline and then go into a particular industry you want to learn, so which industry itself offers the most opportunities at the moment with Aspen skills for someone with Aspen skills?
Hmm. Which industry offers the, I think, I mean, that's a little bit, uh, I mean, to be honest, I don't know how to answer that one, but I guess we can see the trend. I mean, the trend of the industry. Let me put this way. So I think to me is right. Uh, I think I think the best way is actually to choose your industry first, right?
Mm,
Uh, I mean, I'm not sure I will answer that question, but to me, is to choose your industry first. Then you develop the requirements of the skill for that industry, right? So what, I mean, you need to select your which industry you want to go to, right? You want to go to chemicals, petrochemicals, typical oil and gas. Then, I mean, based on whatever the your consideration, it could be uh, the job availability, it could be salary, etc. So depending on your consideration, you choose your industry, then you develop your skill towards that uh, industry. I think that's how you position yourself, right? And for me, Aspen uh, Aspen text software is one dimension. Is one dimensions of skill, uh, which will get you. Uh, I mean, if you have good skill in that, of course you will get higher consideration, right? Compared to the other candidates, right? So to me is uh, pick your industry, then learn the skill, including if it's Aspen Tech Solutions, then you learn what is applicable for Aspen Tech, how you want to apply it in what is required for Aspen Tech Solutions in that industry. I think I think that's how I would approach it rather than okay, I yeah. So that's how maybe I put it that way. That's how I will approach it.
Okay, okay, okay. Um, all right. Still based. Still, I still want to come back a little bit. Based on what you said, you talked about when you're working in the upstream at the moment. Um, so when you were taking your decision concerning working in the upstream, what were the factors you yourself personally considered? You've mentioned some concerning the salary, the payment, the pay, how much does the job pay, and the kind of skills you have at the moment. But when you were making your own decision concerning working in the upstream and then positioning yourself to the point where you are at the moment, managing solution consultant at Aspen Tech, it's not a small deal. It's a big one. So what were you thinking about? What kind of visions, what kind of dreams did you have when you were trying to position yourself? That's on a personal level now.
I think okay. Let me think back in terms of different decisions of my career, right? So maybe the first career is basically the exposure to the industry, right? So I think if you are a student, you get exposed to the industry by either talking to the people from the industry, or definitely you will have some internship. I don't know. Different countries has different university has different requirements for internship. You get exposed to different types of industry, right? So I think that's the typically is how you get introduced to the industry. My first industry is upstream engineering, right? When I get when I get internship, it was upstream operations. So I did my internship with back then is BP in Indonesia, right? So then pretty much by during the internship, I pretty much know kind of the scope of works, etc. So the choice is always either go into engineering company or go to operations company, right? And then sometimes we decide that okay, we want to go into one specific industry. In my case, upstream oil and gas. Still, there are two choices: operation company or engineering company, right? And then sometimes it really depends on which job we land first, right? So we will apply and see how we got accepted, right? So for me, my first job was upstream engineering. So and I enjoyed that I stayed there in about 10 years, right? So then at some point you will look at your career a different way. You might look at your career at the second year, third year, fifth year, 10th year. You will look at your career. Okay, I can move from process engineering, senior process engineering, principal process engineering, depending on your choice, right? It could be fully technical development. It could be you might go into project management if you are in engineering, or you can go into team uh, leadership, right? Managing a team. So really, at certain points, you might think, what attracts you the most? Is it the technical matter? Is it the challenge of managing project? Is it the challenge of managing people? And you might consider the the potential of the different choices, the career trajectory, and it's not just about the career, the salary, the skill. You make that decision at different phase of your life, right? Meaning that, I mean, typical. I guess you guys still very young, so probably your focus will be on your career, right? But at different
Mm.
phase of your life, you might say, okay, I want to focus on technical. You might choose different track. You might go in. It's very, to me, it's very, career is not never one track, right? You might go technical. You might go to team management. You might go uh, to project management. Then you might go back to individual contributor as technical. It really depends on your choices. Really depends on what situation you are in at the time, right? So I would say different considerations at different time. So of course you will consider what skill you want to develop, how is it fit with my own priorities, right? My own needs, economic needs, right? My own satisfactions in terms of the knowledge expansions, etc. Right. So
Okay.
a lot of consideration. So different time, you might prioritize different things. Yep.
I feel we've we've been able to expand more on this particular question here. All right. Okay. That's in career growth. Let me see. I think some questions are coming in small, little by little. All right. Let me take one question. Let me take one question. All right. So, can you share a memorable project or case where Aspen technology, that's Aspen tools, made a huge difference in your line of work so far? Like there's a project you've worked on recently or along the span of 20 years that it made a very huge difference. Can you just share a memorable project on that?
Mm. Mm. I think if I'm being honest, I guess let me think. Most of my most memorable project is, it might not be related to Aspen Tech software, right? Because Aspen Tech software is one element.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, the bigger challenge of projects is, it could be schedule challenge, it could be managing people, it could be the pressures of operations. Uh, so, but in terms of if you ask me which project has memorable, uh, where Aspen Tech software has a lot of influence in that, I guess for me, then it will come to the my job as a solution consultant. I mean, my job for as a solution consultant, I get to talk to customer who use Aspentex software, and I got to tell, okay, how they should use the software. And I think um, in recent things, basically we are, I mean, we help companies to use Aspentex software, and become more, either more profitable or more efficient, right? So one examples, I work with um, I work with national oil company, right? So to actually improve their estimating uh, process by integrating the software, Aspen Tech estimating software with their planning software, which is Primavera, and also with their 3D model software, which is Smart Plan 3D, right? So that's, I think, one a good experience which really help customer in terms of reducing their manpowers requirements or man hours requirements, thus increasing the efficiency of doing capital project estimations more accurate in shorter time, right?
Mhm. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much. I think this session will be rounding up in the next 15 minutes, so let's try and keep to time, everyone. So, if you have any questions so far, anyone, drop it in the comment section while we look at it and then quickly answer it because um, time is fast spent. Um, Mr. Fauzi has to go back to be with his family. I must tell you that this is 9 p.m. in Singapore. For those of us watching, this is 9:45 actually to 10 in Singapore. It's already late there, so he has to be with his family. So um, we don't have time anymore. So drop in your questions. Let's quickly answer that, and then let's move on to the next thing. Um, okay, while they still dropping their questions, I need to really ask this. Do recruiters, this is a question, this is a very important question from me. Do recruiters or employers really look at Aspen skills in job applications? Can you share your experience?
In terms of whether um, I think it's definitely one factors the recruiter, right? The recruiter or the hiring managers, right? The hiring managers will look at, right? Uh, and depending on, so definitely is one elements, right? One elements of your skill, right? To me is always like how you can stand out from the applicants. That's how I always put it, right? How I can make myself unique and stand out from the other applicants, right? On when I'm applying for a job, right? And when I am applying for a job, of course, in this context, probably the context of process engineer. So one of the skill set of process engineer is using tools, right? Using
Mhm.
tools like process simulations, and then it's not just HISIS Aspen Plus. It could be sizing of exchanger, sizing which is still Aspen, right? It could be a flare header sizing, which flare net, right? So is one uh, is a skill set, is one dimensions of your skill as a process engineer. So to me is, if I mean in the industry, that definitely has a value. So the more you show your skill set, right? So you have to show a relevant skill set. So to me is like, okay, I can put myself in in my CV. Okay, I have this high this skill, right? It will be different if I say I am a certified user. I am a certified expert user, right? That gives differentiations, right, compared to other applicants, right?
Mm.
So yeah, but again, my answer is always like, that is one dimensions of your skill. For you to be considered uh, a good candidate, I think is you have to be it's just one dimension, right? So you have to have other elements also. It could be how, and typically this is, I mean, what you write in CV, right, gets you, it determines whether you get the first interview or not. During the first interview, you will be tested could be by technical questions or assessments of how you works, etc. Right. So I think if you ask me, my short answer is always important, but the key is how you differentiate, right? But my third point is it's just one dimension. You have to show other skill which is relevant for that position. You cannot rely on just I'm expert of Aspen Tech tools, and then you say I should be hired because I'm the best Aspen Tech uh, user. It doesn't work that way because again, it's just one elements or one dimensions of the skill in the job, right?
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Um, do we have any more questions? Anyone? The students? All right. Think let's be rounding up. All right. So, um, do you have any professional advice for the young engineers at the moment? Any professional advice?
My professional advice, I think that's maybe I tie back to that previous question. I think always learn, always think how you can expand your knowledge, right? And also always eager to improve your work, right? So always think how can I make things better in your job? How can I improve the efficiency, right? So I think that's improving yourself, right? Always think about making something better, making something better. One is yourself, right? How you can make yourself better, learning, right? The other thing is how you can make your work better, meaning that it could be the system, the software you use, the improvement of the company process, right? So I think that's one advice I would uh, I would give, right? So think of always how you can be better as an individual and how you can contribute better to your company, right? So it's not just developing yourself, how you can develop or make the company system better, your teammates better, right? How you spread the knowledge, right? So I think the more you think about beyond yourself, that's also going to be more important also later on.
Hmm. All right. Thank you very much. One of the things, actually, from what you said, one of the things that actually to the system, I feel I cannot buttress more on that, but the truth is, if you can give value wherever system, wherever process, wherever industry you might find yourself in, you have to be skilled enough to give enough value to that industry. So meaning, like you said, you have to keep learning. You don't just stop learning. Learning is progressive. You don't know anything. You don't know everything. Let me put it that way. You don't know everything. So you have to keep learning. You have to keep improving yourself, giving more value, because the more you give more value to a system, the more you are being valued, the more you are recognized as being more valuable to that industry. That's the truth. If you just stay and you
Yep.
don't learn, you just keep to yourself, you feel like you've gotten to the highest point. I don't feel there's any highest point to anything. I think the ladder keeps going up. No matter the peak you get to, there is always another peak that is higher. So you just have to keep striving to get to the next
Yep.
level.
I
That's
agree.
just it. That's just it. You have to keep striving to get to the next level. So thank you very much for your time. I must indeed say that Aspen, we've learned a lot concerning the Aspen technology. We've seen how we can apply it in the industries. We've learned how we can scale up in our career growth as well. What to get from we've gotten that as well from this session. And I must say that Wise Sims Limited is really, really, really grateful for you to be able to spend time with us today out of your busy schedule. And I must indeed say that our students are also happy for this because they've gotten a lot of value. Seeing someone that is actually coming from the industry with 20 years of experience, all right, 20 years of experience, um, it's not a small thing. So we are indeed grateful for this, and then we believe that hopefully in the nearest future or in future to come, that you will be with us again to share more light about growth, all right, career growth, and the Aspen too. All right, I must really say we are indeed grateful for this. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Luayesi. Thank you for the opportunity. I think it's a pleasure to talk to you and to be able to answer some of the questions. I do hope that it gives you and your students some insight, right? Yeah, thank you so much for the
All right,
opportunity.
thank, thank you. So with that, we call this live session to an end. Mr. Fauzi, thank you again once more. So see you all back in class, students. See you all back in class. For those of us that are not yet part of this session, part of the classes we're holding, we have another session, another batch coming in July. Yes, we have another batch coming in July. So get prepared when that starts. The flyers will be ready for you to join the batch for that. All right. So, but currently our students is already cooking. You're cooking them to be more professionals in the Aspen softwares, Aspen ICs and Aspen Plus. All right. So, um, see you all in the next session, students. See you all in class later on. And thank you again, Mr. Fauzi. Hopefully, we will do this again some other time. And my regards to your family and to everyone in Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Luayesi. See you.
All right. Thank you.